Receive the gospel of Christ, whose herald you have become. Believe what you read, teach what you believe, and practice what you teach. Lalaki lamang ang pwedeng maging diakono. Lalaki lamang ang pwedeng maging pari at obispo. Tunay na lalaki lamang. As you receive ordination, we continue the tradition of the Church revealed to us by Jesus Christ. The 12 apostles were all men. The first bishops of the Church were all men. We do not know why. It is a decision of the Lord, and the popes for the past 2,000 years have taught that. As you receive ordination, you surrender your manhood to the Church and to the Lord. In the presence of the Church, you're going to promise celibacy for the rest of your life. And you're going to promise perpetual continence for the sake of the kingdom. You remain to be a man, but you're surrendering your manhood now for a greater call. And the call is to be like Jesus. To surrender your manhood in a life of celibacy, to renounce marriage, to renounce children from your own flesh and blood for the sake of the kingdom. But there is a bit of irony in your diaconal ordination, John. While you're being asked to remain a man and yet surrender your manhood, you're also being asked to undertake your diaconal ministry as a mother. That you will receive ordination on the birth of the Virgin Mary is a reminder for us and for me and for everybody that the work of a deacon, a priest, and a bishop in the Church is really a work of motherhood. Before the Lord, your soul does the work of motherhood. What do I mean? John, I am very sure you have no ovaries. I am very sure you have no uterus. But I am very sure also that God is calling you to conceive. You're going to conceive not from your ovary, not from your womb. You're going to conceive from your heart. And that is your duty after celibacy, to conceive the Lord in prayer. You're going to promise the Church that you are going to pray the liturgy of the hours with and for the people. And not just to recite the liturgy of the hours, not just to sanctify the day with prayer, but to conceive the Lord in your heart, in your soul, in your motherly soul. It is your calling, and you must not forget that. Like a mother, you are being called to conceive, not in your womb, but in your heart. You're being called to conceive like Mary, who first conceived the Lord in her heart before she conceived Him in her womb. And then, the second duty is to give birth. You have no womb, but you're called to give birth. You're going to give birth to God's children. Not physically giving birth, but spiritually giving birth. And when you receive the gospel and then proclaim the gospel from the pulpit to break the word of God, you're going to give birth. Not from your womb, because you have none. You're going to give birth from the Lord whom you have conceived in your heart. You are called to be a deacon and a mother. You are called to be a mother and a deacon. Diaconal motherhood, maternal diaconate, that is your call. You cannot be a good deacon and you will fail the Church if you fail to give birth to the Lord among His people. It is your duty. Your duty is to conceive and to give birth. And after giving birth, what does the mother do? She feeds. But you are being called to feed people. To feed people, the poor, the orphans, and the widows. Not just to feed them spiritually, but to feed them with food that goes to the stomach, that satisfies the body, that nourishes the body. Look for the poor, for the orphans and the widows, and feed them, not from your breast. Feed them, not from your own milk, you have none. Feed them from the Lord, from the grace that you have received from the Lord. Feed them from the riches that the poor will entrust to you. Feed them, because the poor, the orphans, and the widows are the treasures of the church. And the Lord has chosen to stay with us in the faces of the poor, in the faces of the orphans, in the faces of the widows. I know you're a man, John. And today you surrender your manhood, but you remain a man. You are being called to be a mother in your soul, to be a mother in the spirit, to conceive in your heart, to give birth from your soul, and to feed the poor, the orphans, and the widows, not from your breast, but from the treasures of the church. It is a mystery that men are called by God to be mothers. John, you now are ready to surrender your manhood in holy celibacy. But as you surrender your manhood, perpetual continence, renouncing marriage for the sake of the kingdom, may your soul be motherly. You're a man with a mother's soul. You surrender your manhood, and yet you take on the duties of motherhood.
The Blessed Virgin Mary has responded her yes with love to God. The Blessed Mother's yes serves as my model to say my yes to the will of God. Thus the yes in serving and loving Jesus and His Church as a deacon.
And as Our Lady stands by you, sits by you, walks with you during this day of your ordination, may the same Lady help you to conceive, to give birth, and to nurture, and to nourish, and to nurse God's people. Because when you serve like Mary, you serve like the Lord.